Welcome to 6 Minutes. Jason Fulmore, SCHSL. I'm here today with Coach Nick Jones. Coach, how are you?
I'm awesome, man. It's great to be on with you.
Awesome. Cool. So Coach is the head coach at Greenville, right, up in South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
And you are fortunate enough to call the 4A and 5A dual state title this coming weekend.
Yeah, it'll be my third year in a row doing it. I feel like I've gotten better each year, hopefully. I definitely have fun doing it. You know, if my team can't be wrestling for a state title, it's at least fun to be involved and try and sound a little bit more knowledgeable than the kind of regular guy that they have that kind of runs the show. So
Got it. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm a big advocate of trying to have some level of commentary. I mean, even if it's not in depth, talking about the teams and the kids and things like that, I think it really helps the sport and helps us. What is it? Are you going to be commenting or commentating on the NFHS website?
yeah, we've been doing it on the NFHS network. I think it's what, $10 or $15, and you get to watch the match, and you can watch it as many times as you want for a month. And then there's like links to buy DVDs and stuff like that too. So
Will you get all four matches if you get it? Do you know?
I believe so. So if you if you get a subscription, a 1 month subscription, then you're good to watch each match live if you're on time with that. But like if you're tuning in for the 7 p.m. 5A state title match, then you'll be able to go back and watch the 4A, 3A, and 1A, 2A stuff as well on your own time.
Cool. So just so I make sure that I cover it, even though you're not calling it, 1A, 2A starts at 10 a.m. At Dreher High School, correct?
Dreher, yeah, Dreher
Dreher,
High
I'm
School.
sorry. Apologize, everybody. I'm a Southeast guy. I don't really know South Carolina great. That's why we're talking to Coach Jones.
Yep.
And we've got number 1 Crescent versus number 2 Bamberg Earhart. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bamberg Earhart is historically a really good team. They've won at least 2 or 3 in a row, I think. They had a run of 3 in a row in 2011, 12, and 13. They are just historically very athletic and aggressive team. They pretty much travel the state except for this year, and they wrestle
Right. Yeah.
anyone, anywhere. I mean, the years when they were coached by their former this is a few head coaches ago, they would, be 26-26 going into the playoffs or something like that, and they would just dominate, destroy their 1A, 2A competition because they wrestled the 5A schools, the 4A schools, because they knew that they needed those matches to be prepared for February. So it should be a really good matchup. I haven't seen those teams this year just because travel and restricted numbers of teams at competitions and stuff, but Crescent's traditionally a very tough team. They've dropped down from 3A, so they're a 1A, 2A team this year. They have a new head coach. So so I don't know if they're a new look Crescent team or if they're kind of doing the same thing they always do, which is be a very sound technical team. And but it should be a really good matchup.
Very
at
cool.
10 a.m. I think is what you said. So
yeah, 10 a.m. We kick off with the small schools, the 1A, 2A, and then we move. I think it's 1 o'clock.
Yep.
We have number 1 BHP against number 4 Gilbert.
Yep.
And those are, even though I don't know South Carolina wrestling exceptionally well, I know both those programs because they're like the other programs you talk about in that they get out and they wrestle everybody. Maybe not this year.
Yeah. BHP, I've been wrestling since I started wrestling as a junior in 2001. One of my first matches was against what I thought was a grown man, had a, just chest full of hair. And, it was a tough match. He probably pinned me. But BHP is just historically one of the better teams in our state, especially in the upper state. They have also dropped down a classification this year. They've been 4A the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
So they've dropped down. They have a really tough region. They had really good region championship match with West Oak High School, who,
Yeah, which is another team that travels everywhere and wrestles everyone.
yeah, they do a lot in Georgia just because they're so close. They're right across the border. So they had a close, tough match for the region championship that, locked in 1 and 2. Top 2 qualified in the playoffs this year. And then they saw each other again last night for the upper state championship. And BHP beat them a little bit more convincingly. Just,
Yeah.
a couple of swing matches went more their way than they did, 2 weeks prior. Gilbert has really just kind of come online the past 4 years. Mitch Hudson coached at Lexington High School with Derek Strobel, another great, strong program, traditional power. And the first year, I think they made a pretty deep run in the playoffs, but he has them running their system. Their hashtag on social media is "Stay in the Circle." They're just all about staying in there and being in the fight. If you're in the fight, then you're doing a good job. And Mitch is an awesome guy, awesome coach. They're making their 3rd straight appearance in the 3A state championship, so they're doing something right.
Yeah, no, I that was one of the things that I thought was really interesting about Gilbert, because they had the Kraut brothers who were there for several
And they're at
years,
Lander now, I think.
and then they're gone, and yet Gilbert just kind of plugs and plays, and they're right back into doing things.
It's that cliche about, good programs don't rebuild, they reload. I haven't seen Gilbert this year either, but I know that their kids know how to wrestle. They have great coaches, and they listen. They're all coachable kids. They work hard. Maybe they're not the best individually, but they're great at wrestling for each other. And it's awesome to watch them competing and how they react to their teammates' successes and failures. So they've got a good thing going down there in Gilbert, and they're in Lexington 1. It's a school district in Columbia. That school district is ridiculous. Pelion just wrestled for a spot in the 3A. They lost to.
I think they're 1A, 2A, aren't they?
Maybe they are 1A, 2A this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Pelion is in Lexington 1. Gilbert's in Lexington 1. And then for 5A, Lexington High School, River Bluff High School, and White Knoll High School. Like, that district might be top to bottom one of the best districts for wrestling in South Carolina at this point. Greenville County's pretty solid with Eastside and Hillcrest traditionally competing. But man, Lexington that has it in almost every classification. It's crazy.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're now going to shift to 4A, which will be later in the afternoon, and you're calling the match. It'll 4A for me. Again, I don't know a ton about South Carolina wrestling, but when I was looking at the realignment, I went, wow, 4A is just fun to watch, because I know Indian Land, I know May River and some of their kids. Eastside, obviously, defending state champions.
They're going for their 5th in a row. This run. So
yeah, so you had a bunch of different programs, and May River comes in number 1, a lower state champions. Eastside's number 2, out of the top out of the upper state.
Yeah,
and India and Eastside, for me, watching their wins, they beat South Point by 3 points. Then they beat Travelers Rest. Then they beat Indian Land. They had to run the gauntlet to even get to this point.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, I think even Eastside coaches would admit that they were concerned about their streak and their depth or their run through the playoffs this year, because Lugoff Elgin moved down from 5A.
Right.
Indian Land moved up from 3A.
And they were the champs last year, right? Weren't they?
Indian Land won 3 in a row in 3A, something like that. I think it was 2. And they've got a new coach this year. But and they missed a lot of wrestling. I think they had some issues with quarantine, or maybe their district not allowing them to wrestle. So their kids did not have a lot of mileage or, a body of work really to evaluate for scouting purposes even. I think a lot of what the teams that wrestled Indian Land did was base it off of what they knew from the previous season, because there wasn't a ton of opportunity to see them.
Yeah, they were on they were on the shelf a little bit from what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, 4A Upper State got just ridiculously tougher with Lugoff Elgin moving down and Indian Land moving up. And May River was, a lower state semifinalist the past 2 years, I believe. And for whatever reason, just couldn't get over the hump with Gilbert. And they move up a classification. You would think that would make the water a little bit deeper, a little bit tougher, but
Right.
I mean, they seem to kind of be in control of their own destiny the whole season in
Right.
4A
Well, and
lower
I was going to
state.
bring that up because I mean, May River, if you look at any of the programs that are in the finals in that gym come Saturday, they're the one team that hasn't even been tested through these state duels. I mean, they
Yeah,
have
well,
hammered.
and historically, even, I mean, this is May River's 5th year as a school. Their head coach, Ashley Powell, started the program or helped start the program at Westside High School,
Mhm.
or not Westside, Westwood in
Westwood,
Columbia.
right, right, Westwood.
And then he left when the football coach and I think the majority of that football staff left to start May River High School. So he has been around or been instrumental in starting two athletic programs even.
Yeah.
He's done. I mean, Westside was tough, or Westwood was tough when he left, because I actually the year he left, I took a job at Ridgeview High School in the same district, same region. And, they were, I mean, it took us a while for them to kind of cycle down from what he built them up to be able to compete and beat them. And he's done the same thing at May River now and built them into a state title contender.
Well, I
Um,
know one of the things I like to talk about, and I want to make sure we touch on this, is do you know of any individual matches in that particular duel that you're kind of really looking forward to? I know that May River has Isham Peace, who's a
yeah.
fantastic wrestler, and Eastside has a bunch of young kids who are just studs.
Yeah. Eastside's, I mean, COVID, whatever it may be, Eastside's numbers, their roster is down a lot this year. The kids they have are good. I mean, they've got a few weak spots that I think in their lineup, just based off of our performance against them, where they could be better, but they're not quite there yet, because they're putting freshmen out there that in a normal year in a traditional East Side season, these guys aren't getting a ton of mat time, and now they're wrestling every match, which is still honestly not a ton of mat time this year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's transition to the last match of the day. And I'm trying to keep us to about a certain amount of time so that
Yeah.
we can make sure we get through it. And that pits number one Hillcrest versus number three Somerville. Hillcrest is the upper state champs. Somerville is the lower state champs. Um, in 5A, they wrestle at 7 p.m. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Late night.
and and again, we're talking about, so this is what I know, and you'll have to kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but Hillcrest is a pretty standard program. I mean, you know that school from lots of different places. Um, they have McKnight, they have several
Snipes.
individuals, Snipes, right? They have several individuals. When I've watched a little bit of Somerville through tape, they look like maybe less one single individual and look like they've got just a really good team from top to bottom.
Yeah. That's kind of been definitely what it seems like the trend has been in the lower state, especially at 5A. Last year, White Knoll, um, I don't think, I mean, they finished third in their region, which, like we mentioned already, tough region with Lexington High School, River Bluff High School, and White Knoll. Like, that's not a bad region to finish third in. No one would think less of you. And then they're the one that emerged after beating Somerville last year to make it to the state championship match. But and that's a team that didn't have any state qualifiers from the previous year, I don't think. Somerville is I mean, historically I think they're the second most dominant team in the history of South Carolina wrestling when
Yeah.
it's all said and done at this moment. And I want to say the past 5-6 years, like, everyone's just like, next year Somerville's back. Like, and not like in college football, Texas is back, because they have one win over Maryland or something like that. But like everyone sees their lineup, they see the roster, they see the kids at JV and middle school state, and it's like,
Right.
oh my God, it's coming, it's going to happen. And then wrestling happens. You would think that they're going to win, they're going to make it to the next round, and something weird happens and they don't advance. I think wrestling in South Carolina is better when the traditional programs are strong, but it's good to see other teams have a chance, like a May River, to move in and have a chance at knocking off Eastside, whether that happens or not. It's important for parity's sake to have more people have a chance.
So is there anything in the Hillcrest Somerville match that if you were sitting next to me, that you would say, Jason, you really want to watch these 2, 3, or 4 matches, this match, or anything along those lines that kind of just in your head, this is going to be something that's really important?
Well, Somerville's had such a very short season. I don't think they competed until mid-January with their region schedule, and then they've wrestled their playoff matches. So they're 10-0, and I don't think they've been to any individual tournaments beyond like their region tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I can pull up a scouting report, some stuff.
I was just curious. I know this. I watched them. They beat River Bluff 34-24, and River Bluff's a good program and a good team. So definitely all I really need to know.
Yeah, I think most people not expected River Bluff to win that match, not like blow Somerville out or anything. Just historically, as a 5A program, River Bluff has wrestled. They won the first 5A state championship in 2017, and then they wrestled Hillcrest in 2019. This is only the 5th one. If you had to guess, River Bluff is a safe bet to advance. But Somerville is very well coached. It's a strong program. Historically, they have a great youth program. Like, kids grow up wanting to wrestle for Somerville, play football for Somerville. Like, it's a thing, almost like it is up in the north, where like, I'm going to wrestle. They're a fan base. I was kind of talking about this with a couple of my kids that were at the Hillcrest match last night because they wanted to go watch a good match. And Northwestern, Coach Boulware has done a great job in 1 year after he left Indian Land with getting that program to the Final Four. But their fans are not as wrestling savvy. They don't quite understand the flow of a match. So a Hillcrest kid gets a double leg and gets a Turk, and the Hillcrest parents and fans, spectators are clapping because they're like, a Turk. Now we're probably going to get a crossface. We're about to get some back points, like that's an educated thing, like it's simple to some, us people who know the sport. But then in the same match, a Northwestern kid hit a mat return. He just returned the kid to the mat. And classic, new to wrestling or new to high level wrestling, woo, clapping, losing their mind when no points were scored,
And not a possibility of points really being scored.
Yeah,
it's not like the mat return to a half that we're getting ready to get a turn.
Just a hip spike, just stepped out, boom, or back heel trip. But Somerville is a program where their fans understand what's happening, and that doesn't mean they're not actively cheering, throughout the whole match. But like, when they see something that they know is good, they know it's good, and they're going to communicate that to their wrestler and to the opposing team. Like, yeah, we know what's up. And so they're a very savvy team. They understand the sport and they wrestle like it. So this could be a very close match. It could come down to 2 or 3 matchups.
Very cool. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time and having a conversation with me. This will be on NFHS. Make sure I say that right. If you guys want to tune in, and it starts at 10 a.m. Eastern with 1A, 2A, and wraps up at 7 o'clock on Saturday night with the 5A in Somerville and Hillcrest. Anything you want to leave me with?
Not really. I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
hopefully we have some good matches, and everyone stays healthy and can finish the season out. Got 2 more weeks after this. So
right. So I was going to say, as we wrap this up, is tonight or Saturday night you guys wrap that up, but then you go immediately into your upper state and lower states for
Yeah.
kind of sectionals or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
state
big tournaments on the
qualifiers.
weekend.
Yeah, so you got our format changed. Traditionally, we do 4 qualifiers from the upper state and lower state for an 8-man bracket in all classifications. And due to COVID and trying to reduce people and risk of transmission, we're doing top 3 qualify. So there'll be like a true second match if necessary. Just want to make sure that the best person with 1 loss is getting that 2 seed. And then at the individual state tournament, the 1 seeds will have a bye, and the 2s and 3s from the upper and lower state, however they match up, will wrestle in a pigtail, and then we'll place top 4 from there. So we've cut the wrestling in half from the traditional 8-man bracket. I think that ends up being 12 matches. Now we've got it down to 6, so something like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm just happy that we've been able to work our way through the season.
Yeah.
And that is a pretty remarkable thing in today's climate. So
definitely
enjoy Saturday night. I'll be tuning in as after I finish with the Alabama State tournament over here. And I appreciate you taking the time.
Awesome. It was great. Thanks for reaching out. I love talking wrestling. So
all right, take care, Coach.